Hello and welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Team Albus Daily. Joining me this week is Formula Woman winner and British GT driver Erika Hoffmann. We caught up a little while back to chat about what first got her interested in motorsport, how she came to enter the Formula Woman competition, what it felt like to then win, her ambitions for the 2022 season, and much more. So without any further ado, let's just get straight into it, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi Erika, thanks for being here today. First of all, how are you?
Doing good. Yeah, just got back to the UK like this past week. Got to get on track again already, so I'm in a pretty good mood.
Full throttle to the floor already.
Yeah, exactly. Jumping right back into it.
So, first question I'd like to ask everyone that I talk to on here, what first got you into motorsport?
Ooh, well, funnily enough, I didn't have a lot of exposure to motorsport growing up. My brother actually found like a Formula One race like on TV on our like we had like an antenna TV. Like this is like when I was a kid, we got like one channel, and then he found like part of this like scratchy Formula One race. He was like, "This is cool." He was like, "Car racing?" Like I'm from Canada, right? So we like you watch hockey, you got baseball, you got all those things, but like motorsport was pretty not mainstream when I was growing up. And what we ended up doing was we knew one other person who even knew what Formula One was. And that was my dad's cousin. And he like had this like intricate setup to like get Formula One races because it wasn't broadcast like anywhere in Canada. And so we would pass like a VHS tape back and forth from like his mailbox to our mailbox, and we just re-tape over it, and we'd watch the race like the next day or something.
I
And we
love
didn't have to
that.
worry about spoilers because like yeah, no one no one cared.
Yeah.
Um, so my family got into Formula One that way, and then watched it throughout the years. Watched like Top Gear, all those kind of things. And my both of my parents are pretty like into driving. I think my mom would have loved to have raced or at least done track stuff if she had ever had the opportunity. Unfortunately for the rest of the people in Ottawa, she just used the public roads as her racetracks. But then when I
Just blame it
like
on the weather, depending if that goes wrong or not. It should be fine.
yeah, yeah, just maybe a little sketchy. But yeah, so always kind of liked motorsport, wanted to get into it, but didn't have any idea how to, didn't know anyone who was involved in it. And then when I got older, I got my driver's license and was like, okay, this was fun, but like I want to actually like drive. And so then we found autocross in Canada, like in Ottawa with and I did some of those events with our like little Hyundai accent, which is like really underpowered, like quite the everyone was like, good for you for coming out. Um, and
How
then
did
I
those
ended
events
up
go? Were they kind of as advertised there? What thought you're saying? Was like good for you for going out there, or was it actually all right?
it was pretty good. Honestly, it was there were fun times. Like we showed up and it was again me as I was like a teenage girl and then a bunch of like mainly middle-aged guys. And at the start I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like we did like this track walk through all these cones and I was like, I have no idea where I'm supposed to go. I was like, apparently this is a track. I'm not getting that from this. But then we had like an instructor our first time. And actually, funnily enough, the instructor did like a timed run in my car. And then I did a timed run in the car and I ended up being faster. So at that point I was like, ooh, maybe I'm not totally bad at this. And
Natural
then I ended
talent,
up
really.
well, actually, probably to be fair to him, he probably was not used to such a terrible car. But you had to like, like he probably was used to having some sort of power to rely on. So, and I was just used to I'd only ever driven that car in our Honda Odyssey minivan. So that was like my repertoire of vehicles. Yeah.
Different
So
stuff.
in my head, the like Hyundai accent was like a peppy car. I was like, this is it. And then I later on, like my first car I bought was a Subaru BRZ. And I remember after I'd driven that for a while, I jumped back in the Hyundai accent and I sat in the seat. And I never like thought about it not being that great of a car. Cause again, from my minivan, the accent was great. But then I went back down to it and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm like sitting in an office chair in like a bubble right now.
You need to go in the other direction, not go back, and then realize.
Yeah, Yeah, here's hoping. Here's hoping we're on an upward trajectory.
Well, so
But yeah, that
then
was like my
I was going to say, I feel
go
like
ahead.
I probably know the answer here from what you're saying, but what made you want to get involved with Formula Woman?
Yeah, I was very much already wanting to be involved in motorsport. I had pretty much after the whole autocross season, I had emailed Calabogie Motorsports Park, which is a track about like an hour and a half out of Ottawa, and which is my hometown. And I didn't even know it existed, but my dad was buying like oil or something and talked to some guy at some shop, and he was like, email this guy. So I literally like cold called, just emailed the track manager and was like, hello, I would like to get involved. I want to learn how to drive or whatever. So they invited me out, and I ended up getting involved there, ended up doing just really local,
I
like,
love that really grassroots approach to it. Just
yeah.
and so
Yeah,
from the
pretty,
VHS tape getting passed back, it seems very much the natural next thing that you would have done there.
exactly. Not a very glamorous road, but a very like, I just wanted to drive and I wanted to race, and I just loved the sport. Like I'm a pretty big sports fan, but like motorsport has always had like a special pull. Like
That next bit up.
yeah. So I'd already like been involved in the track. I started working for a company called Apex V2R, which does driver development and a lot of simulator stuff. So I'd been working on their simulators and things like that. So I was trying to figure out how I could get into racing, like again, funds dependent. I was like, okay, like
it's always that one
I
catch.
exactly. And I was kind of the mind, I was like, oh, like I don't have any experience. Like, how am I going to get people to sponsor me? Like, but I also don't have the money to fund it. So I was just kind of doing bits here and there, what I could, doing track days with my own car and just enjoying getting any chance to be on track. And then Apex V2R actually had heard about the competition through another Canadian applicant. So they approached me and they were like, hey, there's this crazy opportunity that these people in the UK are going to let someone like race the McLaren. So like, you should enter. They're like, we think you're pretty good. You got a good shot. And I was like, oh, thanks. So I really was like so confused by it, to be fair, at the start. I was like, is this real? I was like,
that
and
was
then
most of the impression I got from everyone I was talking to last year. Like, this seems too good to be true. What's the
yeah, I was like, really? They're gonna give this to someone? But then I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, a lot of these women, like, they seem pretty intense. They got like a lot going for them. I was like, they got a lot of experience. So I kind of took it as like, all right, ideally I win, but I was like, that's never gonna happen. So I'll just so I was like, I'll just take it as like a learning opportunity. This will be great. And then like potentially if I like make it to a certain point, I can leverage that into potentially getting sponsorships to race locally in Canada. So that was kind of like my like
your worst case scenario was still a pretty good scenario.
yeah. And I was just like, you know what? Like I'm gonna learn. I want to be involved in motorsport however I can, ideally driving, if not like just working within the industry. So I was like, okay, I'll just take it a step at a time and really just take what I can from every like level. I think that really actually helped me and taught me a lot throughout the process, because I wasn't like stressed out being like, I have to get here. I was like, I have this moment right now where I'm getting to do this. I'm getting to be on track right now. So let me like improve and grow right now and enjoy it. And I think that's actually helped me.
I think that's a good part of it, is that as long as you're having fun with something like this and you can still get that enjoyment out of it. Okay, you had your ideal scenario there, but you weren't focusing too much on that, I'm guessing. And it's just the potential there was so much anyway that you might as well just have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah,
and there's maybe less pressure on you as well as a result on yourself. You're putting on yourself because you're not thinking, I might win, but I probably won't, so I can just get on with this and just have a nice time.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm someone who will put too much pressure on myself in the past or tries to like be perfect at stuff. And that's actually kind of a detriment to my driving, because I'll get like all tense and I'll like start questioning. And then I do that dumb thing where you like, in the moment, you're like, I gotta go faster. And then you just try random different things and you drive terribly.
Forget how to drive.
Exactly. So I was trying to avoid that. And just, I think the whole process of like taking it like step by step was kind of twofold in its benefits for me. Was like, number one, I kind of thought, well, if I do win, I was like, this is kind of the least pressure situation I'm going to be in. It's going to keep leveling up. So I was like, if I get overwhelmed now, that's bodes poorly. So like, I got to practice in whatever level I'm at right now. I just got to practice like not being overwhelmed, not running ahead, just being present and enjoying it, because ideally if things go well, like the stakes are just going to rise. So I better learn to deal with it.
Foundation for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like really helped me even now when we do like tests and stuff. I could be like, oh my gosh, I have to perform right now. Like I have to be amazing or whatever, but just coming from the perspective of like, okay, I don't have a lot of experience. My job is to learn. So my job can't be just like outcome based. It needs to be the process, like my focus needs to be like in this corner, what am I doing? And really like staying in that moment. I think that's helped me develop a lot, helped me stay a lot looser, and helped me not run ahead in my mind. And because that just screws you up when you're on track if you're like thinking of results versus thinking of the process.
So you want to think ahead, but not too far ahead that you're already out of the car in your head and you're still driving.
Exactly.
Do you think then this was your biggest challenge in the competition then, or was there something else that was more challenging for you?
I think throughout the process, I think it was mentally like, staying in the moment, and just reminding myself like, this is like a privilege to get to be on track. Like what a cool opportunity that's not given to people. So like enjoy it. And I think I did a pretty good job of really leaning into that. But then also like trying not to get too focused on like the other women competing, and like all these outcomes and stuff, but just being able to be like, well, this is great for women. We want more women within the sport. And not like getting in my head being like, oh my gosh, she's so much better than I am, like all those kind of things, just being in like a very healthy, like healthy competition, but also supportive position and mindset. And then I also think like I didn't really foresee this as a thing, because I've traveled a decent amount and done work abroad before. But because in my head, I kind of thought I was going to lose, I was anticipating to like go home pretty soon. And I just kept being here, and I just kept like traveling and going there and doing this and like making the next round and then being here. So it was a pretty quick transition, and then a pretty quick, okay, like you have to move to another country. Because one, which I was like, I won. Yeah, it really did. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going home. Like, okay, this is how, I don't know if this speaks badly for like my confidence. I would say throughout the process, I've gained a lot more confidence in my driving and just in like my abilities. But like, I did not think I was going to make it past like that first, like when they cut it down to 15. My sister was here with me because again, I thought like, okay, if I don't make it, I was like, I
to help you out if it goes your way.
Well, I figured we'd like travel Europe or something. I was like, this is great. Hopefully I win. I was like, if not, me and Polly, who's my sister, will like make a fun trip of it, and I'll have got some time on track. It'll be great. And then I was like, dude, I'm not gonna win. I like got her to book an Airbnb for like the night after PFI. It was like 2 days. So on the second night, I was like, I'm not making it. Book the Airbnb. We'll do something. And then they called me as like one of the top 15. And I was like, oh shoot. I was like, yes, this is awesome. But then I was like, I'm sorry, Polly. Like I have to get on a bus. I'm gone. I'm going to Croft now. Sorry. Like I'll meet up with you later.
How did it feel then when you did actually, like you said that you weren't expecting to get there? How did it feel then when you actually did become one of the winners? Because if that was like already how are you feeling over the last 15?
Yeah.
Then,
I know it was pretty emotional. I was pretty like at that point, I think I had gotten to a better place of being like, okay, like I'm doing decent. I didn't know how it was going to fall, but I was
about maybe I can do this, or were you not trying to get to that point?
Honestly, like I think that the biggest jump was that final 75 to 15 was what I didn't think I was going to make, because there were so many
number to slash down. So.
Exactly. I was like, how do they know? And I felt like I hadn't been like, they couldn't see me. Like, I was like, these other girls have way bigger platforms. They've been doing a bunch of things with Formula Woman. They've like had all this opportunity. I was like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But
thankfully my test score, to have a laugh, and you kind of got it. You thought you did.
Exactly. I was like, I know no one. Everyone here is best friends. I was like, well, here's hoping it goes okay. But then with all the like cumulative scores of everything, I made it through. So that was awesome. And then at that point, I was like, okay, we'll see how it goes. And then at Croft, like after I did my lap, so pretty much on that round, we all had like, it was like a qualifying kind of situation. We had one lap to set a time. And as soon as I got out the car and found my lap, I knew that I had made it through because like the lowest I could have dropped was like ninth or 10th or something. And I was like with the girls who were left. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what? But then I was kind of like, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't believe it yet. I was like, let's just wait to see how things play out. I was like, I can't trust this yet.
Screens are on. It can't be real.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I got out of the car and everyone's like, you made it. Like I think I was like third or whatever at that point. And I was like, I don't know. But that was kind of like a warm, gradual, like warm you up. And then when we were in Sweden, we didn't know our times or like how they were grading us. Like we had like instructors with us. They had a bunch of categories they were going through. And then we also had timed runs and all these things. So we didn't know where we were at. So I was kind of like just trying to enjoy being like, wow, I got flown out to Sweden to like ice track.
You got the travel aspect that you missed out on before. So,
Yeah, there we go. And I was just like, wow, this is a dream. Like, think about it. If someone just like was like, yeah, we're going to fly you out to drive somewhere, you'd be like, sick. That's awesome. And so at that point, I knew I had like an okay chance because like there was 11 of us, and it was kind of like I didn't really know where I stood, but nobody knew where they stood. So I was like, well, it'll be or it won't. I was like, I don't know. But still, when they told me, pretty much how they told me is that we had like this booth, and we were in like a restaurant actually. So they had the rest of us like hidden away in like the back part of the restaurant, which was like a bowling alley, which was so random.
Places.
Yeah, I know. I was like, guys, I remember this. Like people were freaking out, and I was kind of like, again, trying to really do that job of like being like, okay, if this goes well, like I need to learn how to manage my nerves. So I was trying to be like pretty neutral, and I was like, I don't know what how to prep in my head. I was like, should I be prepping that like I want this to happen? Because I was like, this could be the last moment where it could be true. It could be like crushed soon. Or should I prepare myself for the worst? I was like,
if
I don't know.
We go bowling and we take our anger out with the bowling ball.
There we go. Take the stress out. Stress relief bowling. But yeah, I remember talking to the girls. People were like, there's a lot of stress and tension in that room. And I was like, guys, think about it. In years from now, you'll have like this fever dream memory of one time you were in Sweden in a bowling alley waiting to see if you like made this racing team. I was like, this is such a bizarre situation we're in right now. But yeah, they called us out one at a time to like give us our results. We sat down at a table with Graham Glue and Mia Fluid, giving us our results. And they asked me how I thought I did. And I was like, I did okay, but like not my best. Like, cause again, like you had like limited opportunity to like show your skills, right? So I was like, I think I did okay. I think I could do better, but like,
it's like no offense to you, but you're not the expert. They are. It's like you tell me what I did. I don't know.
Exactly. I was like, okay, I guess. And then they told me my time, which meant nothing to me because I had no idea what a competitive time was at all. So, and they had told us like that our results weren't based on times, that it was like an accumulative thing. So they were like, it'll be your time, but also like your car control, like a bunch of different factors. So then they told me my time, and I was like, cool, that means nothing. And then they told me I had the fastest time, and I was like, sick. I was like, that's great. But I still like, I think they were waiting for a reaction from me, but I was like, you told us it wasn't on time, so I can.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
Nice to be fastest, but you just said so.
Yeah. So I was like, does that mean like? I was like, oh, nice. But I didn't really register that as them being like, oh, you made the team. And then they were like, so you made the team. And I was like, oh, no way. And then, and then I was like, really? And I think I like asked them.
I get this in
like,
writing.
multiple times. Yeah. I was like, is this real life? And then I think I got like all teary eyed and was like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
So suddenly the realization sets in then.
Yeah, exactly. All this like stuff that I've been kind of like not believing. I was like, wait a second, like, is this my life now? And then I went and I called my family. Like I went to the family group chat and called, and my brother lives in Papua New Guinea, and then my parents are back in Canada, and then my sister was in Switzerland or something at the time because I ditched her to go to Sweden.
At least she went traveling. She didn't just wait around. Like, you know what? I'm going.
Exactly. She's like, okay, you're doing your thing. I'm gonna go see some friends. Like, I'm sick of waiting at hotels for you. And within like 10 seconds, everyone had picked up, which has never happened in our family group chat before. It was like bing, bing, bing. Everyone was there, and it was like 3:30 a.m. back in Canada.
At least you know the scale of what has to happen for them to all to get on the group chat at the same time.
Exactly. Big things have to hang in the balance. And I told them I made the team, and they were ecstatic for me. They were so happy. They were like, we knew you could do it. I feel like everyone had a bit more confidence in myself than I did going into it. But I think this process has taught me a lot more to believe in myself, and has given me a lot more confidence. Because again, like I was pretty inexperienced, still am. So it's hard to like believe in yourself when you haven't seen proof of success, like in other areas, other
Aside
sports.
From making it this far.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I think as it went on, I gained more and more like confidence, but they were like, see, we need to do it. Yeah. And then apparently my Oppo was like couldn't sleep because he was also super excited about it, so he called my brother at like 4 a.m. and was like, Alex, what's the news, is she through? And he was like, she made it. So yeah, everyone is very, very happy and very proud of me. So yeah.
I was going to say, you're saying that you've just come back from there as well. What's the reaction been like from everyone else? Because obviously that's the immediate family reaction on the day itself. But then what's it been like for everyone else? They're like, oh, we know a racing driver friend now. We've got like a little celebrity here.
Yeah, actually, yeah, they're all teasing me. They're like, you're the famous one now. And I'm like, not really, not at all. But everyone's super excited for me, really proud. And again, because motorsport has been something I've been really wanting to get into for a long time, they're all like, they see that like meaning behind it. Like it wasn't just like a whim that I like never thought of it and then entered this competition. They were like, wow, this is like your dream. That was like pretty impossible in terms of like having no money in Canada.
It's again quite amusing, this whole thing of VHS tapes to your dad talking to someone at a garage, and then just someone hearing about it from someone else and like, this might be of interest to you, and then you just go and win the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Very like unconventional, like a lot of different things had to fall into place for me to be here now. And again, yeah, like I feel like it was a lot bigger of a thing in the UK. Like a lot more women from here were like doing it. It was more publicized versus just somebody being like, oh, I saw this, you might want to try. And then again, when I showed up at PFI, like a lot of people had been doing a lot of stuff with Formula Women. They'd been having a lot of track time, and like there'd been like a community based around it, which is phenomenal. But again, I was like kind of sequestered off in Canada and didn't have a lot of exposure. But it panned out pretty well for me. It worked out. Yeah. So yeah,
definitely say that.
And yeah, and now looking at like this next year with them running the Formula Women competition, apparently there's a lot more North American and Canadian applicants. So it's cool to see. It's like coming across. I'll take a slight bit of credit, but yeah, no, it's really cool to see more women getting involved.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, like you say, you were having this thought process beforehand of like, okay, it'd be nice to win, but I can still get X, Y, and Z out of it if I don't. And you've seen that with so many of the people who didn't make it all the way through, and it hasn't stopped them from still going off and pursuing racing in other directions there. And it's just great to see that still trickles out as a result of that. So it's, okay, you didn't get this one, but you might get something else, and you at least have the doors and the opportunities opening for you there. So it's great to see that side of things as well.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And it's so cool to see all the ways that like more women are getting involved, and people have taken this as kind of like a launching pad. It's given people more confidence or more exposure or connections. And Formula Women's really like Graham Glue, who's the founder, is really wanting to like stay connected. He's not just about like, okay, these people won, the rest of it doesn't matter. It's about like the community, and there's so many talented women and talented drivers who are in the competition. So there's definitely areas for them within the industry. So it's very cool to see everyone finding their spot.
Focusing back on you slightly then, what are your ambitions for this season?
For this season, I think it's a pretty steep learning curve, having never done like an official race before. Um, so first time doing like wheel to wheel racing. So my primary goal is to like be safe. And then just like I think
Are
just
we
to
back to the Hyundai kind of method of we'll get the basics in?
yeah, yeah. And then just kind of like a steady progression. Like I'm already it's been really encouraging to see how much all of us who made it the team have improved already, and just like the development that we've had. And like DTO is such an amazing team, and they have such top-notch coaches. Like the exposure to all these coaches that we've had is incredible, to be able to learn from them and know their experience and their wisdom, and have them encouraging us and guiding us. So because of all those resources, we've already been able to develop a lot. And so I think that gives me more like encouragement, like a positive attitude of like, okay, throughout the season, like if we've already grown, and right now it seems like there's so much we have to learn, like with actually racing, but just being able to know that that will continue and that we have the proper support. So I think my personal goals are just like a steady increase of being able to like find our footing, get used to running in traffic. Like I haven't run with like GT3s before, like all those little things of like, okay, can you put together a qualifying lap when you're in traffic? Like you're having to overtake people who are on a prep lap, or having to like, how do you balance like that? Like there's so many little things that we have to learn in terms of just versus right now we've been doing more just like straight pace, like, okay, can you set a fast lap time? But can you manage traffic? Can you predict what other people are doing? Like, can you read the traffic properly? Can you handle changing conditions? Like the track's going to rubber in more, and it's going to get more dirty on the outside. You're going to have tire wear, but your fuel is going to go down, like all those little things. And like driver changes, like it's all so new. So I think short-term goal is kind of survival and just learning and like kind of being a sponge and trying to take in as much as possible. And again, not getting too focused on like outcomes, but really focusing on the process and setting like a good foundation.
So
and I think
as long
that's
as you can do your best and that keeps improving steadily over time, then it's a success.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I've never raced before. There's a lot of really talented drivers within the series. It's a pretty intense series. So
no pressure.
like, yeah. So, well, in my head, I was like, okay, like if I was going to put pressure on myself, that'd be foolish, because like, am I thinking I'm going to go out and beat like these, like first race, a bunch of like very talented, successful
I, for one, will
drivers?
laugh if you manage that first time out. So I just know the reaction that you'll have.
Yeah, I'll be pretty gobsmacked. So like if I put that pressure on myself, then it's just a lot of pressure, and it's not very realistic, and it's not setting very manageable goals. So I think, I think my goals are, again, one day want to be fighting for the lead, and like I want to keep developing as a driver. But I think if you're too outcome based, like, and that outcome is like so high, what your goal is, you got to be kind of realistic on like,
you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment then, and that's just not going to be helpful.
Exactly. And I like to be, I'm someone who like really benefits from like a positive environment and encouraging and like looking on the bright side, and like, like that kind of coaching and like encouraging kind of positive way, versus like, you have to do this now or you're terrible. Like there's the tough love coaching, and then there's the more encouraging coaching. So I know what works for me and how to get the best performance out of myself. And I know that that's like more a positive mindset, more like looking at like the pros of a situation versus the cons. So I think like just focusing on in the moment, what can I learn? How can I improve? How can I learn to feel the car more? How can I, like, we haven't had a ton of time in our actual cars. We just got them. So really trying to like learn a car and like feel it and understand what it's like communicating to us, so that I can like drive the car the way it's meant to be driven, and like all those things. So not putting like expectations that are unrealistic based on like reality. You can only do the best you can do in this moment. So I'm going to try to bring the best that I can.
You find yourself in that top position because of whatever reason, then okay, we'll deal with that then, and we'll just try not to lose our minds a bit and just focus and get into doing the job then.
Yeah. And just like you do the best you can with where you're at. Like if I put expectations of my best, I need to do what someone else's best is. I'm not at that point yet, so just doing the best I can with the resources and the experience, and like the training I have. And then that'll just keep growing. And I think that's what's helpful for me. And I think that's what's helped me develop throughout the competition, throughout preseason training and everything. So that's the kind of mentality I have moving forward.
Seems like a good, sensible, and helpful mentality to have. So fingers crossed it works now.
Thank you. Yeah, here's hoping. A lot to learn, but I think that's the best way for me to be able to develop as quickly and as like in the best way for long-term, hopefully long-term success, is to not get too caught up in like position on the first race. Like there's so much to learn. So.
And then cue to you being in first position after the 2 corners, like, oh God, what do I do?
Be like, I was not prepared for this situation.
A few fun questions then to finish off. Do you have a dream car?
Ooh. I do love the McLaren, to be fair. Like I've always loved McLarens.
Staying on brand.
Yeah. I also really love like old Porsches. So like, you know how singers do those beautiful like Porsche restorations? I think that would be like my dream.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. So I think that would be that's the dream.
What's the last thing that made you laugh uncontrollably?
Uncontrollably. Probably my sister's laugh, to be fair. My sister has a thing where like she'll start going off on something and then she becomes somebody whose laugh is funnier than the joke.
Yeah.
So probably one of those situations. And also like I'm pretty close with my family and my sister's like my best friend. So like her humor and stuff, I can get on board with it. So probably my sister.
Regular occurrence then.
Yeah. Probably blame my sister. Yeah.
And then final question, which might be mean for me to ask a Canadian this, but ice hockey or skiing?
Ooh. To be fair, I actually snowboard versus skiing.
So if you want to make it more difficult for yourself, that's fine. You do
that. For me personally, I have played hockey. I did play hockey when I was a kid. But nowadays it's snowboarding is something that personally I love doing. I still watch hockey, but don't really play it aside from like casual pickup with friends, like very rarely. But snowboarding it gets cold in the winter, you know, you have to have good like activity to do outside. And I think snowboarding really made me fall back in love with winter. And also like you watch like Mark Morris or like professional snowboarders and they just kind of blow my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, the feats that they're performing. So
there's your backup sports career if you need it.
Well, I don't think I'm brave enough for that. I'm brave enough for car racing, not brave enough to like hurl myself head over heels off a mountain, but
some would say it should be the other way around. But
yeah. You haven't seen me try to do tricks on my snowboard though. You'd be like, Erika, you should stick to what you're good at. I can do like a basic jump and then I'll
keep an eye out for those YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I want to wish you best of luck for all of the 2022 season. And yeah, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. And I appreciate your well wishes and also your encouragement throughout the whole journey and like your support of Formula Women and women within motorsport. It's really great. So I appreciate that.
My pleasure. To Erika for coming out to the Kerbs with me, and I want to wish her the best of luck for the rest of the 2022 season and beyond. Join me again soon when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the other videos on the On the Kerbs YouTube channel. And listen to me talk about Formula 1, amongst other things, over on the Undercut podcast. Away from YouTube, you can follow me over on Instagram at t.albers.daily.onthekerbs and read my various motorsport articles over on Is It Fast, Paddock Sorority and Supercar Blondie. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week for the next episode.